All right, welcome to episode or number 15. I guess we're not really calling them episodes. So number 15 of the Sports Mashup. Lots to cover today on 6/9. Very nice day to do an episode. I think we're in the time of the year now where the NBA kind of makes its money. Like, this is where you actually talk about the NBA because we haven't really been a show to talk about it too much. That's probably because a lot of it was in the regular season. And I think this is kind of the time when the NBA takes over where it's only worth talking about on this type of stage, which would be the playoffs into the summer. So we'll start with the NBA as we have every time. James Harden hurt again, got hurt very early in game one against the Bucks, which that series has been a complete joke. And then he's out again tomorrow in game three. So as I've said, if they have two of the three guys healthy, they can win it all. Like, Kevin Durant is the best player in the world right now. So
it surprised me that they rested him a lot in the first series against Boston because they were ahead so much. You know, they took it easy on him with his hamstring injury. And it was so early in game one that he hurt his hamstring.
Maybe so it's too much rest.
Or like, how much are they pushing him in practice?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, this is kind of like basketball. The ball doesn't lie, because the way that James Harden's season started, he basically tried to play himself into shape rather than getting in shape or staying in shape in the offseason, trying to get his way out of Houston. So biting him in the ass because he's hurt again for the third time, and it's the same injury. So I don't think he's going to be back. I would say he won't be back in this series. Maybe he'll be back in the next series. I don't know. But he missed a lot of time the first couple times he was injured. So who knows?
If I was Steve Nash, I would just sit him the rest of this series.
Yeah, the way KD's playing, they don't
and I would just make him rehab the heck out of this for the rest of this series.
I think that's what they're going to do. They've been a very cautious team all year.
Because they play the winner of Philly and Atlanta.
Yeah, because Milwaukee has no chance. I mean, Milwaukee might win a game, maybe two, but I still don't think they're going to win the series. So yeah, Tom Thibodeau.
That could be a long series that Philly and Atlanta won. So they could they could have even more time to rehab that.
Yeah, he won't be back in the series. I'd be surprised if he was. Even if there's a game 7, maybe he'll be back, but I still don't think there's going to be a game 7. So we'll see. Tom Thibodeau wins NBA Coach of the Year after getting the Knicks back in the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. The way that they had this voting done was that Monty Williams, for my squad, obviously, he got more first-place votes, but Thibodeau got the most overall quality first and second-place votes, so he ended up winning via the point system. So I don't really care either way, to be honest. The Knicks, the way that their season ended obviously was embarrassing, but I think he deserved it. You look at the roster he has compared to what the Suns have, it's definitely worse. So I think that's a good call, giving him the award. Nikola Jokic also won MVP, averaged 26 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. He's joined Oscar Robertson, who did it 3 seasons, and Russell Westbrook 2 seasons, to average 25, 10, and 8 in a season. So pretty good. Carried that team
to join Oscar Robertson. I mean, like you said, Russell Westbrook, it seems like half the time the team, it seems like they're running away from the glass for him to get his rebounds, to get his triple-doubles.
Yeah, I think it's kind of more like that now. I don't know how much it was like that in OKC, because they had some big-time rebounders in that team when he was at OKC. Steven Adams.
Yeah, Steven Adams. But you'd see half the time Steven Adams would go up with his hands, and sometimes his hands would just drop. Like, you'd hear Russell Wilson's voice coming, and his hands would instantly go down to his pockets.
Yeah, it is what it is. Either way, but Jokic was a great season, and I didn't think we would really see centers win these types of awards very often anymore, because the position as a whole is really taken a step back. So I think this is a big deal that he did it. But big time ups to him. All right, Damian Lillard or CJ McCollum. I think one of them might be out in Portland. I think the interest for Lillard is obviously going to be off the charts, but I don't think Portland's ready to move on, to be honest. I know they parted ways with head coach Terry Stotts. Who knows where they go with that, but I still think both of those guys will stay in Portland.
Well, no, didn't Lillard already make a tweet to like LeBron? Or
I don't really
or
pay
not
attention
to
to all that.
LeBron. It was I read an article saying that uh, who could add him? Golden State could add him.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense, especially with Clay being back. I don't think that would make sense.
It
I
would
think
be he'd be the other shooting guard. You'd have him, Clay, and Lillard, or Curry, him, and Clay.
the Knicks should get Lillard. You look at the one issue that they had all season was a consistent point guard. Emmanuel quickly had a really good season. Maybe he's the future, but when you have the chance to add a superstar point guard, I think you got to go for it. I think the Knicks should. Obviously, Derrick Rose is older. I know he somehow got a first place MVP vote, which makes absolutely no sense. But I think Lillard would make a lot of sense for the Knicks.
But I know a lot of people in the middle of the year when CJ McCollum was hurt, they were mad saying that they wish they would have traded McCollum because during the 16 games he was out, they had a better record with him off the court than when he was on the court.
I think their biggest problem over the years overall has not only been like getting a third guy with those two, but having like somebody stay healthy. Like Nurkic was a huge part of that team down the stretch in 2019 when they lost the Warriors in the conference finals and he got hurt. So
And when those guys first got there, they had LaMarcus Aldridge, and they were all outstanding together.
Yeah, I don't know how they never really got to the finals. I guess they were blocked by the Warriors and the Spurs. So
and Kobe was still there.
Yeah,
when those guys first got there.
It's a weird situation, but I don't know. It looks like Joel Embiid's doing something we didn't think he'd do.
Yeah, I don't know how he played game one in the second round in a losing manner, by the way, but on a torn meniscus. Yeah, he had 39 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists, but he played like 38 minutes. But I mean, he had to get that knee shot up, and he had to be. I didn't see the game, but he had to be wearing a knee brace.
Yeah, I think it helps that it was only a slight tear, so it wasn't bad enough to where it was impossible for him to play. But he also had 41 last night, and they won. So, I mean, he's got.
But is he wearing a big knee brace?
I haven't even paid attention to that, to be honest. I don't know why. It's probably the first thing I should look for, but I'm sure he is. I don't know why he wouldn't be at that point. But take a look at the updated playoff series right now, huh?
Yeah, you got the Western Conference. You got Utah up 1-0 on the Clippers. The Suns up 1-0 on Denver. In the Eastern Conference, you have Brooklyn up 2-0 on Milwaukee. And you're at a 1-1 split between Philly and Atlanta.
Yeah, I think my view on these series would be Philly, Atlanta. I think Philadelphia will win. I think it'll go 5, 6, 7, probably at least.
That series will depend on how I think Embiid's knee holds up.
Yeah, and obviously they need other guys to score around him because he can't score.
Because game one, Curry was their second leading scorer.
Yeah, they need guys like Tobias Harris and those types.
Because that's what I think Dallas could have beaten the Clippers in game 7, but their bench literally only scored 6 points. Luka had 46.
Luka's team around him is not good.
No, and Green being hurt all playoffs killed them, but their bench literally only had 6 points. And it was only by 2 players.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But he dropped 46. And it was on 17 of 30 shooting.
I mean,
it wasn't like he shot every shot. He was over 50% from the field.
You knew it was going to end up that way when he had 29 points in the first half and they were losing.
Well, I made a bet Saturday night for either him or Kawhi to score over 40.
Did they both? I mean, Kawhi had to, right?
No.
What do you have, like 30?
He was, I think, in his 20s.
Oh, he just was so efficient, I guess.
It was just a bet that either of them had to – it was an odd boost bet for either of them had to score 40.
Yeah, that's like a guarantee in a game 7. Brooklyn, Milwaukee, I mean, I think this series is over. Brooklyn just embarrassed them in the first 2 games. I think Milwaukee will punch back, but I don't know how many games they can win. Maybe one, maybe two.
And my buddy Ian was in town for that game Saturday, the game one, and he had a parlay bet for what was it? Brooklyn had to win, and he had it the over two, and it was at 239.5. So Harden getting hurt kind of hurt that. And then when Milwaukee pulled their starters with like 4.5 minutes to go, that kind of sealed the deal that the over wasn't going to get hit. Because I think the final score in total was like 224 or something.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it was still like a 15-point game or something, but why would you pull your starters with 4.5 minutes to go?
It's a weird situation. There's not much around Giannis, and Chris Middleton didn't play well, but I wonder if Budenholzer gets fired if they lose this series embarrassingly.
Yeah, I mean, they were like, at one point, they were like 4 or 5 for 20 from 3.
Isn't DiVincenzo out? I think he's out. That kind of hurts them a little bit. It's not the
but they still have the 1 3-point shooter from Notre Dame.
Pat Connaughton.
Yeah.
He's in there. Yeah. I mean, for the Western Conference, I think Utah, LA, I think that goes 7. I think Utah is going to make it seem like they're going to win the series easily like Dallas did, and then the Clippers will come back. Phoenix, Denver is an interesting one because, I mean, if Denver gets a couple guys back like Will Barton and somebody else that they're supposed to get back, that puts them in a good spot because of the way that Michael Porter Jr. has played and that Argentinian point guard Campazzo, I mean, he's a very scrappy player.
Murray's out for the rest of the year no matter what,
yeah,
right?
He's done. Yeah, that kills them. But I think the Suns are better. I think the Suns will win the series, but I think it'll be 6 or 7, I would say. We'll see. Okay, let's go to the NFL. And finally, this happened. Julio Jones gets traded to the Tennessee Titans. I think I said Titans on this podcast. I don't remember, though.
But he wasn't in those original 4 that they kept saying that they were like saying that he could go to, right? But then, like last podcast, they said that the Titans were out and that they couldn't make a deal with the Titans.
Yeah, I don't know. This deal couldn't have been that complicated to figure out, I don't think.
But he goes for a 2022 second-round pick, a 2023 fourth-round pick, and the Titans also get a 2023 sixth-round pick. And then the Titans were also able to negotiate his contract to split the money up.
Here's the thing. I think it's slightly overrated, the narrative that the Titans fleeced them because, number one, Julio Jones is in his 30s now. Number 2, he hasn't stayed on the field in the last 3 or 4 seasons. And number 3, the amount of money he's owed on his contract to finish it out is significant. Even with them splitting it up, it's a lot of money to commit to a receiver who's in his 30s who has struggled to stay on the field.
Whoa. Pat McAfee show, they went through and they found out that it's only been the last year that he really hasn't been able to stay on the field.
I guess, but it's still a risk for the Titans. It's good value, but it's not like a huge steal. Like that pick's going to be in the top 62. So it'll probably be like 50s or 60s. So or I would say early 50s, but I mean, did they really expect the Titans or did they really expect the Falcons to get a first round pick in this deal? No. Second round pick and a fourth round pick is not horrible for an aging receiver who hasn't done much in the last year and a half. He's great, but I'm just saying.
Like McAfee, he's like, I'd give up at a second and a third. So I'm surprised that they only got a second and a fourth.
I don't know. I just think that narratives in the NFL and trades are driven by one side. Like people thought the Giants' return on Odell Beckham was a fleece by the Browns, which it clearly wasn't.
Do I really think this makes the Titans a Super Bowl contender, though? No.
Their defense still isn't good enough.
Yeah, their defense still needs help.
You can't convince me that a Ryan Tannehill quarterback team is going to make it to the Super Bowl in an AFC with Patrick Mahomes and a lot of other great quarterbacks.
And the other receivers still have problems dropping the ball. This at least gives him a receiver that doesn't drop the ball very much at all.
I think they'll score a lot of points, but it's all up to the defense at this point. Like last year, they were scoring a lot of points too. Their defense was just terrible.
This also makes it so Derrick Henry's not carrying the team on his back.
Also makes teams have to worry more about the passing game than they would have. So we'll see how it works out.
But did the other guy give up number 11, or did Julio have to pick a new number?
A.J. Brown offered number 11 to Julio Jones, and Julio didn't want to take it. So I think he's going to wear number 2. Just like a receiver should, am I right? He's taking Matt Ryan's number. How about that?
Well, I saw he was either taking 2 or 8.
Yeah, I think 8 would have been better, but it is what it is.
I couldn't remember. I didn't remember. I didn't know what he wore in college.
I don't remember. Was it 8?
Oh,
8 or 2 probably. I don't know. All right. Color me shocked. Aaron Rodgers did not attend the Packers mandatory minicamp. Oh my God, I'm so surprised. Let me know when he actually does something significant like skip training camp. Let me know when that happens because I really don't care. And this moron radio host, Dan Sileo, who's a complete fraud. He follows a ton of people, doesn't even have that many followers on Twitter, calls me a nobody. What an idiot he is. I mean, what a loser.
He calls you a nobody on his radio show or on Twitter?
No, he tweeted me back and said, another nobody in my business. First of all, Dan, you are a complete fraud when it comes to radio hosts because, number one, you don't even have over 15,000 followers, which is an embarrassment. I don't know how you call yourself. I don't know how you call it your business when you're not even that big of a name in the business. Number two, you tweet fake BS trade rumors to get ratings, which you've done that many times. He tweeted that the Broncos were close to a deal for Rodgers. He tweeted the Saints were close to a deal for Rodgers. Fake news. Double. Guy's an idiot, complete moron. No clue how anybody in the business respects him. No clue how he's going to have a platform to talk about any of this stuff when he's a fake news moron idiot. So that's all I have to say about Dan Sileo, who's a fraud. What an idiot that guy is. All right. I'm going to go to this one first just so we don't transition like that. The Packers signed linebacker Devondre Campbell, played 4 seasons in Atlanta and a season with Arizona. I think this is a nice signing for my squad, get him in there in the middle. Hopefully he'll be pretty good. We'll see what happens. And then I just wanted to add that former New York Giants head coach Jim Fossil passed away at 71. He was the coach of the year in 1997 in the NFL. He lost in Super Bowl 35, I think that number is, to the Ravens in 2000. So a really good head coach. He actually won the UFL championship twice as the head coach of the Las Vegas Locomotives, and his son is one of the best special teams coordinators in the league with the Dallas Cowboys. So condolences to him. And
that's why that name sounds familiar.
Yeah. So sad news there. But let's transition. Transition is the word. I can't even say that. Wow. Slurring my words. College basketball. Some news there.
Yeah. Izzo promotes Doug Wojcik to his assistant coach and hires 3 former players. Mark Montgomery, former Northern Illinois coach and Spartan point guard, hired as recruiting coordinator. Austin Thornton hired to be the team's video coordinator. And Matt McQuaid hired to be its director of basketball operations. And I wrote this in quotations, hoping you would see it. Didn't he just graduate in the past year or two?
No.
After playing for like 4 or 5 years?
Most Michigan State players go in and out of the brain. He played at Michigan State. Yeah. 2019 was his last year there. Pretty good job. Pretty good gig. He'll be a head coach within the next decade, I guarantee it, if he wants it.
So he's been out a season.
2 seasons. Because 19, 20, and 2021. Because he played 18, 19 was his last season.
Oh. So yeah, he's been out for 2 years, but no, he's already the director of basketball operations.
It's probably not as big of a job as it sounds, if I had to guess. But you know. All right, last week I brought up maybe Jim Boeheim could be the next ACC coach to retire, since we've already seen Coach K announce he's going on a retirement tour, and then Roy Williams retiring. But Boeheim says he has no intention to retire, which I think a few years ago he said he was going to retire, then didn't. I think that happened, if I'm not mistaken. But he's been the head coach at Syracuse since 1976, and he's 76 years old now. So I say 4 or 5 more years, and he'll be done, if I had to guess.
Well, I'm pretty sure that his son that just transferred is only like a sophomore, so I could give it 2 years and he retires.
I think he'll go even longer than that. I have that weird feeling about him.
That he's going to try getting more wins than Coach K and then call it.
I don't think he'll get there. Got too many vacated ones. I think he had like 100 vacated. If he had those wins, he'd be knocking on the door. But no. So, and then I put this in there. Question: should Duke have considered making a run at Bobby Hurley as their head coach rather than naming John Shire as their head coach? Your thoughts?
I don't think so.
Bobby Hurley's a proven coach.
I get that.
Very good
coach. They tried going after Tom Amaker at Harvard.
Yeah. I think Bobby Hurley would have been a perfect fit, especially since he was such a star there.
I know, but he never was an assistant at Duke.
I don't really think that should matter.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I think they wanted to go in-house.
I mean, Hurley would be in-house since he played there.
No, but I meant like in-house on who was in like his coaching tree.
I guess.
I think if Nate James wouldn't have left, went to Austin Peay, and as soon as he did, it would have been Nate James's job.
That's a kick in the nuts right there. He leaves and then loses out on that opportunity.
Yeah.
Brutal.
If Capel would have been back from Pitt, it might have been
disaster.
Huh?
Jeff Capel can't coach.
But I'm saying if he would have been back from Pitt, it might have been Capel. If Wojo might have been back from Marquette.
I'll just say this. I think Bobby Hurley's better than any of those guys. But I also think that Bobby Hurley really likes Arizona State, because I think he would have had the chance to get a huge contract and go to St. John's if he wanted to, but he decided not to. You know, he's from that area, so I guess he likes it on the West Coast.
I was surprised when I didn't hear that, like, Johnny Dawkins didn't get interviewed.
Is he still at UCF?
I think so.
Yeah.
But like, he was an assistant forever and then left to go to Stanford. Had a couple good years and then had a couple down years and then left Stanford.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how John Shire does. Like I said, the job recruit itself is all about coaching at that point. But
now I don't know who's even left there as an assistant.
I'm sure you'll find out in the coming days what they're going to be doing with that.
Nolan Smith was still there as a somewhat of an assistant, so I'm sure he'll be there. But
where's Kyle Singler these days? Get him in there.
I think he's still in the league.
He'll show people how to make corner 3 balls, which is what I used to do with him on NCAA basketball 10.
Brian Zubak will be on the bench. It'll be that whole 2010 class.
Exactly. Just throw them all in the assistant staff and go from there. All right, let's go to golf. The Memorial Tournament wrapped up, and a little bit of controversy on the back end of it, huh?
Yeah, the winner of the Memorial Tournament presented by Nationwide, the winner was Patrick Cantlay. I won $1.7 million, shot 13 under, but John Rahm had a 6-stroke lead before a positive COVID test forced him out.
Entire situation sucks. He would have won 6-stroke lead with one round to go, pretty much automatic. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I mean,
they told him while he was in the middle of his round, right?
Well, I think he was walking off 18 right when they told him, I think. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I wish they could have made it to where he let him play at like 6 a.m. before everybody else plays and do whatever you have to do to make it safe or whatever. But I don't know. It's a tough situation. He was going to win, obviously. So I know that everyone's saying get the vaccine. I mean, he had one shot of it. He was in the middle of the process to get the second. So maybe he should have done it sooner, because if you do have it on the tour. You don't have to go through the testing. So, yeah, I don't think this is going to happen again, honestly. I think this is the last time we're going to see this. Most players are vaccinated. Most players aren't tested. And there's only been a few positive tests in the last year on the PGA Tour. So I don't see that happening.
And then what happened with the RBC Canadian Open?
I don't think they're having it this year because of the whole Canada restrictions and stuff. So they're having the Palmetto Championship, which I don't think that's been had before because there's no defending champ.
Well, there wasn't a defending champ of the Canadian Open either.
Pretty sure there was. I guess from 2019 when they last had it. You want to still call him defending champ?
I thought when I wrote it out there, they didn't have one.
Well, 2022 is the next time they're going to have the RBC Canadian Championship, and Rory McIlroy won it in 2019.
Okay, maybe I did have Rory down.
I think you did. This is at Congaree Golf Club in Ridgeland, South Carolina. It looks sweet. Like when I saw the pictures of the course, it looks pretty cool. We'll see how that goes. I mean, we'll make our picks later, but should be an interesting week of golf. Next week, the U.S. Open. So right back into a major we go next week. So we'll talk more about that. We'll go a little more in depth next week with the majors. So there you go. On to Major League Baseball. Jacob deGrom, once again, got to talk about him. Dominance continues. First 9 starts in a season. He's on pace or, on the board with Pedro Martinez and Bob Gibson. deGrom has a .62 ERA, 58 innings, 93 strikeouts. Pedro Martinez in 2000 had a 1.19 ERA, 68 innings, and 95 strikeouts. Bob Gibson had a 1.34 in 80 innings and 57 strikeouts. It really shows you, number one, how much more strikeouts these, Pedro and deGrom are getting, but also the innings that Bob Gibson pitched. That's a lot of innings in 9 starts.
Yeah, because those guys have pitched almost every inning.
Yeah. I mean, Bob Gibson had a boatload of complete games, a ton. So let's talk about the team that we root for that's behind me on my wall and shows up a little bit on your background as well. The St. Louis Cardinals they've lost 6 games in a row. The run differential is now -27, which is completely embarrassing considering it was like +24 like a month ago. The Brewers and the Cubs stand atop the division right now, so the Cardinals are in 3rd place. 4 of their key pitchers are hurt. Dakota Hudson, Tommy John last year. Kwang Hyun Kim, lower back tightness. Jack Flaherty with an oblique injury that's probably going to keep him out until August, if I had to guess. And Miles Michaels with another arm injury that's going to keep him out until August, plus Jordan Hicks in the bullpen. Plus Harrison Bader, Yadier Molina, who's back tonight, and Paul DeYoung have all had injuries. So injuries have been bad. Pitching has been horrendous. They've hit 48 batters this season, which is incredible. They hit 48 guys in 61 games. Walk rates are off the charts. Injuries, offense hasn't shown up.
How did Reyes get an all-star? No,
his numbers are very good.
Yeah, but he gets all these saves, but he also puts 2 guys on. He gets 2 guys on base every time.
Yeah, but his numbers are so good. His ERA still under 1. So
he's like the most scary person to save a game. If we could have a 2-run lead, and then he's like, I'm going to put 2 guys on just to scare everyone in the stands and everyone watching on TV.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals have that every year. I think Rosenthal was like that. I think Isringhausen was like that. I think Hicks was kind of like that when he was closing games. Just how it is. There's very few dominant closers in baseball. So this is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. This Garrett Cole interaction from Tuesday. I really want to play it because it's so hard to watch. Let me just read this, then we're going to listen to it real quick. This is Ken Davidoff asking Garrett Cole, have you ever used spider tack while pitching, which is like a sticky substance type thing? And Garrett Cole, his answer is, I don't know. I don't know if I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest. That's what Garrett Cole said. Let's listen to this and kind of gauge some thoughts on what this could be. And I'm going to share my screen with Twitter. Okay, so do you see this right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go.
And have you ever used spider tack while pitching? I don't know. I don't know if I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest. I mean, there are customs and practices that.
I think that's enough of that. So, not a great look for Garrett Cole. Not a great look.
There
I don't like how
are customs and practices.
He's basically talking about how pitchers have been using stuff for years, basically, is what it sounded like to me. But I don't like the fact that everyone's going after Garrett Cole like he's the only guy doing this. But, man, bad luck. Those pauses were, wow, hard to watch. But he said about 40 words in 20 seconds without saying anything and paused twice for like 5 seconds. So not the best look. We'll see where this goes. I think they're starting to crack down on it now, which is just the MLB. The people that run Major League Baseball have no clue what they're doing. So this is going to be a mess. I mean, people have been doing this the entire time. Then they decide to crack down on it in the middle of the season after being warned about it for years. And I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest. So that's what he says, which he clearly means, yes, I have used it. That's all I had to say. Just say it. What are they going to do? Suspend you? Why not just say it? I don't know. It's very weird. But another one of those situations where a guy that was on the Cardinals is hitting bombs. Patrick Wisdom has 8 home runs in the last 14 days for the Cubs. Traded to the Rangers by the Cardinals in 2018. Granted free agency by the Rangers, signed with the Mariners. Released by the Mariners, signed with the Cubs. Granted free agency by the Cubs, signed with the Cubs again. He had 4 career home runs before this season, all with the Cardinals in 2018. By the way, he had a pretty good numbers with the Cardinals when he was playing. So I'd rather have Nolan Arenado at third base than Patrick Wisdom like they did in 2018 for a few weeks. But, of course, he's raking. I mean, whatever. Another situation. Adolis Garcia, Randy Arozarena also having great seasons, but is what it is. Everyone's going to talk about it, and I just don't care. I just want to put it in there because he can't stop hitting bombs.
While all the other guys are on IL.
Yeah, it's true, and they're winning. So, all right, NHL. Also, by the way, my hat right now looks like maybe I'm using some sticky stuff here on the side.
You got some Spire Tack on there?
I might have that because, I mean, this Major League Baseball, like the last 5 years, I guarantee every team has had at least one pitcher with a bunch of stuff on his hat, and they've done nothing about it. Like Craig Kimbrell's hat is ridiculous. Nothing about it. And now they're like, oh, middle of the season, got to make sure we –
Did anything ever come since what's his name's hat got taken?
Gallegos? I don't think so.
And has anybody else in the league's hat or anything been taken?
Not that I've seen. Maybe it's happened. I haven't seen it, though. Whole thing's a disaster, though. Okay, the NHL. The LA Kings are expected to be major players in the summer, looking to add top 6 forwards via free agency or trade. This is code for we are going to try to trade for Jack Eichel. So, I mean, the Kings, if anybody has the prospect pool to do it, it's absolutely the LA Kings. They have an absurd amount of prospects. Last 3 years, they have 2 top 5 picks. Quentin Byfield, number 2 overall pick. Alex Turcotte, number 3 overall pick. Number 4, actually, excuse me. So, if anybody has the ammo to do it, it's the Kings. I think if Eichel does get traded, the Kings make a ton of sense. You get him down the middle with Kopitar and all the other depth forwards they have there, they would be very good. And then the NHL draft lottery happened. You had Buffalo State, number 1, so they're going to draft somebody that they're going to mess up down the road. Seattle goes from 3 to 2, and Anaheim goes from 2 to 3. So if I'm Buffalo, I'm taking Owen Power, a big defenseman put on the back end with Rasmus Dahlin. I think they've drafted so many high forwards over the last few years. You look at Eichel, you look at Reinhart, you look at Middlestat. I think it's enough with that. You look at Cousins, you look at Jack Quinn. They drafted 5 forwards in the first round in like last 7 years. So it's a little ridiculous at this point. Seattle, I think Matthew Beniers, centerman from Michigan, is a perfect guy to start your franchise with. Makes a lot of sense. In Anaheim, I would go Brant Clark, defenseman. They've drafted a lot of forwards. They have a lot of forwards already. Get a defenseman in there like Clark, back-to-back years taking a defenseman. I think that would make a ton of sense. So I've been wondering for a few weeks how Seattle will approach this expansion draft, because you remember what Vegas did, which was just fleece other teams by, teams' expansion lists weren't as the way that they wanted them to be. So let's say, for example, Florida's expansion list. GM of Florida calls Vegas, says, "Hey, we're willing to give you a first-round pick if you take Jonathan Marchessault instead of taking the other guy." Well, Marchessault turned out to be a stud for Vegas. Same thing here. Columbus. We'll take – I don't even know if it was Columbus when this happened, but if you take Riley Smith, we'll give you a first-round pick or a second-round pick or whatever if you take him instead of taking him. Riley Smith's been great for them. William Karlsson, same thing. I think William Karlsson was the Columbus one, but I wonder if Seattle does that. But I do think NHL GMs have learned their lesson. Just let it happen. Because, let's say, for example, right now with the Blues, okay, if the Blues GM, Doug Armstrong, says, "Hey, if you don't take Vince Dunn, we'll give you a second-round pick and you can take Jaden Schwartz." I don't think they're going to be doing it to that extent anymore. I'd be interested to see if they do, but I don't think NHL GMs are going to let that happen again. But to be honest, Vegas got pretty lucky, so we'll see. PK Subban will be an ESPN analyst for the NHL for the rest of the playoffs, so I'm sure he'll be doing this every playoffs now since he's on the Devils and they're never making it to the playoffs again. So that'll be fun for him. And then updated playoff series, yes?
Yeah, in the East, you got the Boston Islanders. The Islanders are up 3-2 in that series. Game 6 is tonight. Montreal beat Winnipeg 4-0 last night, right?
2 nights ago.
Two nights ago. Last night, Tampa Bay beat Carolina 4-1. Or is that 2 nights ago as well?
No, that was last night.
And then Vegas is up 3-2 on Colorado.
Yeah, I think the Islanders getting 2 in a row there kind of surprised me. I kind of thought Boston would probably be up 3-2 at this point.
And Cassidy did get a $25,000 fine.
Yeah, I don't really understand what he's talking about, because if you look at this season, the Islanders were one of the least penalized teams in the league. It's also playoff hockey, so.
Well, I think it also went back to game 4 when Barzal was cross-checking the hell out of everyone in the back and not getting a penalty at all.
Yeah, I don't really understand what the point of them even calling cross-checks is at this point, because they rarely call them, and then the only way that you ever get in trouble for it is if it's in the face.
Well, they were all in the back.
And I think it has to be really severe for them.
And the penalties in game 4 were 8-2 Boston.
I get that, but it's throughout the entire season, the Islanders have been one of the least penalized teams in the league. So I don't think that they're paying the refs, to not call anything.
I didn't hear his saying. I just knew what it was for.
What he said made no sense, and I think it's kind of the NHL coach thing. When you're losing in a series, you start to just blame the refs. We've seen so many guys do that. Craig Berube for the Blues did that this year. Pretty much every series that's ever happened, that's kind of what you do. Rod Brindamore's done it for the Canes. I mean, that's just how it is. I don't know. It's an interesting situation, but I think the Bruins will win tonight and bounce back. So I think we'll get a game 7. Jets, Canadians. I mean, I thought the Jets would put up a fight. They didn't. They got destroyed. So Montreal,
the team with the worst record to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and they're 8-3 in the playoffs, and they never trailed in this series, I don't think. And I think
who plays who in the next round and all this.
I'm assuming it's going to be, because I think it's reseeded. So I think winner of Colorado Vegas will play Montreal. So because Colorado Vegas have more points than Tampa, Boston, or New York. So that would put, let's say Vegas wins, it'd be Vegas, Montreal, and then Tampa Bay versus the winner of the Islanders and Bruins. So
gotcha.
Makes sense in terms of the geography too. They kind of got lucky with that, because if it was a Vegas, New York, or Boston conference final, that'd be weird. But there you go. Okay, let's go now to
college football.
college football, where apparently they're going to make a playoff change finally, and a 12-team model leads the way. The basic thought is automatic bids for Power 5 winners and the highest ranked group of 5 team. The other 6 would be at-large bids. This is via Pete Thamel at Yahoo Sports. I don't understand why they just don't simplify it and do an 8-team model, personally. But either way, 8 or 12 is fine with me because the way it's set up now is atrocious.
Which is the 4?
Yeah, give teams like, the teams that emerged from outside the power conference, like Coastal Carolina last year, or, BYU, something like that. So, obviously this year, Power 5 winners getting in. You're going to have Alabama get in. You're going to have Ohio State get in. You're going to have Oregon obviously get in because, right? Huge Oregon fan here. Who else is in the – Clemson will get in, and then Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So you'll have obvious 5.
Or Oklahoma or Texas. Whoever comes – or no, Baylor. Baylor could win the Big 12.
Texas is frauds. Call me back with Texas actually winning something. It's so embarrassing how much money that program invests into his football program just to suck.
But you never know what
Crazy.
Baylor or Texas Tech.
I think Oklahoma's way better than everybody in there. Got a second year of a
I was just throwing out different names there in the Big 12.
Either way, though, college football playoff expansion makes a lot of sense.
And then you got Clemson coming out of the ACC.
Yeah, definitely. No doubt. Alabama out of the SEC, and then Ohio State out of the Big Ten. I would say Oregon or USC out of the Pac-12. So there you go. And with that, we go to the picks of the week.
What did you do last week?
6-2.
What?
Staying hot.
I went 4-4.
Yeah, I'm 8-0 in Major League Baseball the last 2 weeks.
And Major League, I went 1-3.
I'm now 51-36 in the year.
Because the Cardinals couldn't beat Cincinnati, the Cubs lost to San Fran, and Houston lost to Boston.
I had Boston and I had San Fran.
Yeah, I know.
Or wait. Who won the Cubs-Giants game?
San Fran.
Yeah, I think I had them.
Well, you better look before you just say I had.
Well, didn't we go head-to-head on that game? There was 2 games we had to head on. I think it was Houston, Boston, and then the other one.
Oh, you better look.
Chicago. I know I went 4-0, so I'll just double-check. Just for the fans out there that are concerned about my incredible MLB record the last 2 weeks.
Because I thought we went head-to-head in the hockey, too.
I had the Giants, Padres, White Sox, Red Sox. They all won. Hockey, you had Boston, I had New York. Did you have Carolina or Tampa Bay?
I had Carolina.
I also had Carolina. I had Denver. They beat the Nuggets. I had Denver. They beat the Blazers. Nuggets who lost. So I went 1-1 and 1-1 and then 4-0. 6-2.
So what's your overall now?
51-36.
Huh?
51-36.
Damn. 47-42.
I'm 12-5 last 2 weeks. I kind of went risky on the MLB picks this week, so we'll see if I kind of cool down. But I had Morikawa finish second at the Memorial. I had DeChambeau 18th, Brendan Todd 53rd, and Max Homa 6th. So
I had one golfer withdrawal.
who'd you have?
I don't even remember which one it was.
All right, there we go. Okay, the Palmetto Championship at Congaree this week. I'm taking Brooks Koepka plus 850. I'll take Sung Jae Im plus 1,700. Kevin Kisner, a friend of the show, really, if you think about it, even though he doesn't know us, he's probably a friend of the show. I pick him every week. Plus 4,500. And JT Poston plus 8,500.
Kisner's plus 4,000, by the way.
I had it at 4,500.
I have Dustin Johnson plus 750. Tommy Fleetwood plus 1,200. Kisner plus 4,000. And Brandt Snedeker at plus 5,000.
All right, let's go to the NHL playoffs. One game tomorrow, Game 6, Colorado, Vegas. I think Colorado's going to bounce back. They should have won last night. Minus 108. Give me the Avs over the Golden Knights.
I have Colorado plus 120.
Did you get it from DraftKings?
Yeah.
Really? I saw minus 108. They should be favored. Backs against the wall.
I said plus 120.
Yeah, they should be favored. How did I misread that? All right, Avs plus 120. I'll take that. Nailed it. You're taking that too?
Yeah.
Okay. NBA playoffs. Give me the Nets plus 133. I know it's 143 right now, but I had it at 133 when I wrote it down. In game 3 over the Bucks, I think the Bucks are a dead team. And then I'll take the Clippers plus 123 at the Jazz. Game 2.
I have Brooklyn plus 138.
Really moving.
Also on DraftKings.
It's gone up 10 in the last hour because I picked it earlier.
And I have the Clippers at plus 123.
All right, we're on the same page there. So we have NHL, NBA, all the same picks. So no opportunity for you to go take a step forward here. So we'll see.
I have only thing I can make up for is then baseball.
I have the Pirates plus 184 against the Dodgers because why the hell not? They're going to win a game at some point, right? The Braves plus 120 at the Phillies, the White Sox plus 108 against the Blue Jays, and the Athletics minus 139 against the Royals.
I can only make up 2 games here.
Woo!
I got the Dodgers minus 210 over Pittsburgh.
Should win that.
I got Miami minus 190 over the Rockies. I got the White Sox plus 115 over Toronto. And Oakland minus 145 over Kansas City.
Should be interesting to see how that goes. Plenty of news and notes coming next week on the episode. Number 16, we'll talk U.S. Open golf. We'll talk more NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball. Where does the pitching thing go? We'll find out. And other items, news and notes, of course, as I said. All right, that'll do it for us. Number 16 coming next week on June 16th, and we will see you then.
Deuces.